You guys have missed it. I've been away for some time with these, but your boy's back. That's right. We have our fighter spotlight of the week. And guess what? It's somebody you wouldn't think I would cover, but I'm going to cover. Eileen Luciana Perez, otherwise known fight nickname as Fiona. Now, I don't know if that's Fiona from the show with the Gallaghers or I don't know. But Eileen Perez trains at a goat shed. She's been active as a fighter since 2018. Now, goat shed in Miami, Florida, but she is from Zarate, Argentina. Now, she moved to Buenos Aires, Argentina later in life. We'll get into that. But Eileen Perez, 30 years of age, born October 5th, 1994. She's 5'5". She's at bantamweight, has a 66-inch reach. 12-2, 4 KOs, 2 subs. All right. Now, Perez started martial arts at the age of 11 in Zarate, but at the age of 20, she decided to move to Buenos Aires to do some BJJ, some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She wanted to do that to get more into MMA. She wanted to become an MMA fighter, find a better life for her son. So she turned pro in 2018. 2018, Eileen Perez turns pro. Now, earlier in her career, she starts fighting for this promotion called Samurai Fight House. Okay. Now, Samurai Fight House, Eileen Perez does a little good for herself. Okay. Now, her first 4 fights, first 4 fights were in Liga Sudamericana, where she took on Noemi Galarza, wins unanimous decision. Collision Fight Ultimate 10, where she took on Laura Ribeiro. She wins her second fight by rear naked choke. Fiora Cardozo, she beats her by retirement, TKO, also in Collision Fight Series at the 12th event. And then she fights at Natal Fighting Championships 19, where she takes on Gaze Yasmin, wins unanimous decision. So she has a TKO win, a submission win, and 2 decision wins under her belt. She decides to take her talents to Samurai Fight House. She wins her first fight there by TKO against Alessandra Tainara. Okay, she gets a head kick, round 1. This is August of 2021. She's feeling herself. She's looking good. She won the inaugural women's bantamweight championship with that head kick. All right, so now she's got a real promising career. She's really thinking she's about to do something. Now she takes on Tamiris Vidal, defending her bantamweight championship. This is in Brazil. Okay, and guess what happens? She lost November 2021. She applies an illegal knee. Vidal unable to continue. She loses the fight. She loses her belt. Terrible loss for her. Okay. She comes back in the same promotion at the 3rd event. She fought at the 1st event, loses her belt at the 2nd event, fights at the 3rd event against Ramona Aguirre. Wins the fight by TKO punches. This is February 12th of 2022. This is the first round she beats her in. And then follows that by winning her belt back in Samurai Fight House at the 4th event over Stephanie Bragirak. I butchered that. Whatever. Corner stoppage. Made that girl quit. So you can see this style of hers making these girls quit all throughout her career, from beginning up until this fight, where she beat Stephanie in May of 2022, the 22nd of May in 2022. And that solidifies her as a contender to go to the UFC, where she signs her fight with the UFC. Now, she's with the gym that she's been going with this whole time, all right? She decides to take a featherweight bout against Stephanie Egger in the UFC. This is her first fight in the UFC, okay? She debuts. She was scheduled to face Zara Ferran dos Santos, at UFC Fight Night, Gane versus Tuivasa. But Farron withdraws from the fight. Unknown reasons. Gets replaced by Edgar. So, opponent she didn't originally plan on taking, probably not a weight she intended on fighting at, but she ends up taking the fight at featherweight. And guess what? She loses the fight. Loses the fight by submission, rear naked choke. This girl's too big for her in France. France is going to play a key point in this for later. So she loses to Stephanie Egger in France. Terrible loss for her. She's like, all right, I got to switch things up. I got to get my nutrition right. I can't lose. I just got here. I'm in the UFC now. I got to win for my son. Switches gyms. Goes to Goat Shed. Now, as you know, Goat Shed got some characters. Goat Shed got some savages in there. Okay? Think about Goat Shed. Just think about it. Think about all the killers they got in there. Headed by coach and karate combat leader Azim Zaidi. All right? You guys might know him as Dana Brown, President Awesome. He's a bunch of names. He's the guy at Karate Combat. Okay? You might have seen him in Eileen Perez's corner as she fought multiple times in the UFC, but last seen against Carol Hosa. But yeah, so she goes to Goat Shed. Goat Shed says, all right, we're going to change your whole style up. You're going to be a marauder, okay? And guess what? She goes back down to bantamweight, and she raffles off 5 wins in a row. Ashley Evans Smith, unanimous decision at UFC on ESPN, home versus Bueno Silva. Lucy Pudilova, UFC Fight Night, Allen versus Craig, in November 18th of 2023. She wins again. Now she has a fight against Jocelyn Edwards. Okay? Her and Jocelyn Edwards had an altercation at a training session. This led to a crazy fight between the two. It was heated, Referee had to separate them a couple of times. I think he had to talk to them once or twice within the fight. Eileen Perez ends up winning this fight, unanimous decision. Her little mean streak starts here. I think this is where the mean streak started. Okay? She was already, pushing these girls into the mat, doing little dances in the octagon, stuff like that. People were starting to catch on to it, right? By this Jocelyn Edwards fight. Then she takes on Daria Zelenyakova in Paris, France. Back to that Paris, France thing that I was talking about. Okay? September 28th of 2024. During UFC Fight Night 243 in Paris, she's criticized for celebrating her victory over Zelenyakova. She was twerking over her opponent's face. If you don't remember, it looks something like this. Yeah. So she wins the fight and she twerks over her face like this, right? And people were like, that was a bit disrespectful. That was a bit disrespectful because she just beat this girl and blah, blah, blah. Now, people didn't know, but after the fight, Eileen Perez comes out. Says Zelenyakova made offensive comments before the fight about her dancing, about her using her sexuality and all that. So Perez wanted to put it, she wanted to put it back in her face. And so that's what she did. The action was deemed disrespectful by people like Ariel, whatever. The incident also had repercussions in France. Yeah, she was suspended in France for these actions. So I don't know when she's allowed to fight back in France, but at least she's 1-1 there. She's 1-1 in France. So, at least she avenged that loss back then. And she got a finish to boot. So she avenged her finish. And guess what? It was a rear naked from Stephanie Egger. She gets an arm triangle on Daria Zelenyakova. It was a catch weight. Perez did miss weight for that bout. So it also did. That was another reason why there was so much beef in that fight. But, whatever. And then after that fight, she gets this fight. Carol Hosa. And she's a plus 220 dog, guys. Plus 220 dog. And then pulls off this performance. Eileen Perez takes her down in round 1, keeps her there, beats her up on the ground, lands elbows, lands strikes. And then after that, takes her down in round 2 and repeats that performance. She's up 2 rounds. Big dog on the card. And then she beats Calarosa by unanimous decision. Okay? How can you beat that? How can you beat that? She's built a nice little career for herself. 29-28, 29-28, 30-27. Some think she won the third round. Something. 2 judges thought she lost the third round. Doesn't matter because she goes home with the win at women's bantamweight. She beat Carol Rosa. Okay? Carol Rosa's been in there with Panny Kianzad, Irene Aldana, Yana Santos, Norma Dumont, Lena Landsberg, Betch Colhea, multiple title challengers, Sarah McMahon, and Eileen Perez beat her. Eileen Perez should be looked at as one of these rising stars in the women's bantamweight division. She's got to have a good fight coming to her next. So, yeah, that's why she deserved this fighter spotlight. Eileen Perez with a fantastic win. Can't wait to see what she does next at bantamweight. Her style's fun. She has a great personality on social media. Eileen Perez is going to be a problem at women's bantamweight in the UFC. And that's why she was my fighter spotlight of the week. Shout out to Eileen Perez.